evolution of Indy Lights 96 suggests an amazing battle to the end. Three-time winner David Empringham leads the points and still controls his own destiny, but a host of others have been chipping away. David De Silva has a win. Mark Hotchkiss got Milwaukee. Tony Kanaan won Detroit. Galter Salas, Portland. 5 winners in 7 races so far, and the vision of more first-time victories looms. Each man that steps from the pack casts another stone in the path being carved by Empringham to the top of the podium and the Indy Lights title. Sunshine, surrounded by searing heat and humidity, this is Burke Lakefront Airport in Cleveland, Ohio. Today, host to the PPG Firestone Indy Lights Championship. Hello, everybody. I'm Chris McClure. Welcome to Cleveland and round 8 of the 1996 season. This is a place that has offered us over the years some of the best wheel-to-wheel action in the history of the Indy Lights Series. We're joined again by our analyst, Jan Beekes. And Jan, there's no wonder they get good action here. There's a lot of room to work.
There is, Chris. You know, that lot of room on the runways can work for a driver or work against him. It works for you because there's all kinds of places that you can pass. But it works against you because your mind oftentimes as a driver says, I have plenty of room to pass, but maybe you don't. Here, patience wins the race, but if you're too aggressive, it can bite you.
And the fact does remain that the best place to start any race, anytime, is on pole. Mark Hotchkiss has that distinction here. He's won the Sea-Doo Ski-Doo Award and is with Gary Gerald.
Well, the first time he was on the pole this year was at Milwaukee, and he turned it into a victory. Now you're on the pole on this wide-open circuit, and I guess the question, Mark, do you play this conservative, or you try to be patient, or do you be very, very aggressive right from the green flag?
Well, I've got a lot of competition with the 2 Brazilians behind me, and it's going to be important to stay in front of them the first couple laps of the race and set a good race pace because it's real hot here. So I'm sure we'll be there at the end. We'll be on the top podium for the winner.
Trying to make a comeback in the point standings. Mark Hotchkiss ready to get the business, Chris.
Well, if he gets that victory, Gary, he'll certainly be in the championship fight big time. He's on the pole for the second time with Galter Salas, who won Portland, flanking him. In row number 2, Tony Kanaan, who won Detroit, and Jeff Ward, who ran 3rd at Michigan. Row 3, Helio Castroneves, the rookie, and Claude Bourbonnais, one of his better qualifying positions of the year. Row 4, Alex Padilla on the inside. He's been second the last 2 races, and Jose Luis de Palma. A couple of Japanese rookies in row number 5, Shigeaki Hattori and Hideki Noda. Row number 6 hits the points leader way back, David Empringham and Greg Ray, who ran 2nd at Milwaukee. Row 7, Philippe Giffoni in car number 4, and Nick Firestone, the veteran from Arizona. Row number 8, we have Chris Simmons and David De Silva, who won Nazareth. Row 9, Mauricio Slaverio in the second start, and Casey Mears, son of Roger, making his debut. Row 10, Freddie Van Buren making his debut, and Dr. Jack Miller at the back, Rodolfo Levine Jr., the rookie from Mexico. In the points, take a look at it. Empringham with better than a 1-race lead coming into this event, but a good battle for position behind, and the championship far from over. The track, it's almost 2.5 miles, Jan, 10 turns, and it is a long way around and some good straightaways.
It is, Chris, and of course, the most important part of this race has always been, whether it's IndyCar or Indy Lights, turn number 1. You have that huge runway that funnels down to the slowest corner on the course.
We'll ride on board with a couple of folks in this event. Alex Padilla, second the last 2 races. His season has really turned around. And also Jeff Ward, who comes out of row number 2. He's ready to win in this series in car number 32. Coming back down toward the pit straight and the expected green flag. And right after that, Jan Beekes, intimidating turn 1.
It really is. And the interesting thing for Mark Hotchkiss, he said on the start, Jan, I am going to try and get a jump, but if I don't, I have to protect my position. I've watched the video from the last 2 years, and I'm not going to let anybody get on the inside of me. At the moment, he's bringing them up real slow.
They got about 14, almost the whole field on the front straightaway. Gordon Ensing waits. The pace is down, and now the green flag waves and the acceleration underway. Mark Hotchkiss far to driver's left as he approaches, as they dice around to the inside. Will he get there first? No. Galter Salas takes a jump to the inside.
Oh, Hotchkiss is in trouble.
As Hotchkiss has swapped in. Those that are wide on the turn are moving through. Alex Padilla is also involved in that incident in turn number 1, so it goes astray immediately for the man on pole.
And the thing that I do not understand, Mark Hotchkiss did the exact opposite of what he told me this morning he was going to do. He went to driver's left, and he left it totally open for people to come in on hook. Who is that? One of the guys, looks like Ward, got off in the dirt, but he's okay.
Jeff Ward, number 32, who is coming out of the second row, was off the course, but Galter Salas saw that seam down to the inside and took the lead in turn number 1, snookering Mark Hotchkiss at that point, and he comes around. We're going to full course yellow, and we will resume green flag racing in a few moments after they get those cars out of the way. We're in the early going in Cleveland. We'll be back. Back in Cleveland, cleanup for the first term incident is still underway. 4 cars were involved in this, and a lot of important runners. We go on board, first of all, with Jeff Ward. Take a look at it, Jan.
Jeff Ward comes in there, but there you can see the contact. Jeff Ward stayed wide. He got through, but that was Alex Padilla that got in that made contact. You can see that, Salas gets through, and you can clearly see the contact between Alex Padilla and Mark Hotchkiss.
Well, we go with Padilla, and watch how close he was to Salas, how close it was that Salas got away. Boom.
Oh. But you know, Alex Padilla has a lot of experience, and that was clearly his fault. When he sees the video, I think he knows already. There's David Empringham, of course, our championship point leader at the moment, and he has been eliminated.
Fact of the matter is, 4 of the top 7 in the points. Empringham, who was first, Hotchkiss second, Tony Kanaan fourth, and Padilla not on that list, but in 7th in the points overall with 42 coming into the event, are out. The highest point man on that list still running and leading the race under yellow is Galter Salas. What a break for him.
A huge break for him. He had a very nice start. He took advantage of that situation. And what is still beyond me is, why did Mark Hotchkiss move to driver's left when he knew those guys were that close? He's watched the video. This is not the first time this has happened in Cleveland. And the thing is, in Cleveland, when you open the door, somebody's going to take it. And in that particular case, Alex Padilla tried to take a bonsai move, go up the inside, and he blew all the top guys out of the championship. And he's a guy that has the kind of experience that should know better.
Galter Salas, the leader behind the pace car. Then Helio Castro Neves, who came out of the 3rd row and got through the mess. Then Jeff Ward, Claude Bourbonnais 4th, and Hideki Noda. Those are the top 5 under yellow. Let's go to Gary Gerald, who's caught up with one of the drivers involved.
First one back on pit road is Tony Kanaan. And Tony, everybody is worried always about turn 1 at Cleveland. What was it like from your seat?
Oh, the problem is I'm completing a very good start. I'm waiting for the crashes. I'm taking my car to the outside to the track. But when I'm turned, Abraham arrived very fast, take a dirty, and inside the track and crashed me in the back and broken my rear suspension. And unfortunately, it's done the race for me. But we work very hard for the next races.
All right, great disappointment. Thank you, Tony. Tony Kanaan, Chris, and you could see the disappointment in his face. And what is this doing to the point standing? That's what everybody down here is wondering right now.
That's going to shuffle it up for sure. Number 31, Shigeaki Hattori, in the Dorcott Racing entry, has been in the pits and now moves down pit road to rejoin the field at the back. I don't know exactly what that problem was. But there you look at the standings as we continue to operate under yellow at Cleveland. Hopefully, we'll be back to race speed in just a few moments. We will be back in just a couple moments. And 5:30. Back in Cleveland, about to go back racing. Galter Salas will lead the charge to the flag stand, followed by Helio Castro Neves and Jeff Ward. Single file this time, Jan, which probably will help, but they'll still be all over this front straightaway.
Of course, their speed is going to be much higher this time. They'll be a little more strung out, but let's see if anyone decides to make a move. Coming into turn number 1, Jeff Ward looks to the inside, but thinks better of it.
He pulls back in line and exits that hairpin. High-speed section coming here, heavy braking at the other end, and a passing zone.
And there's lots of passing zones here. The interesting thing that I'm going to keep an eye on here as we go on board with Jeff Ward, he is a great starter. He knows how to run really hard at the beginning of races. Comes from his Supercross background where you have to get it done, and he has a good run. I think he can do it.
Maybe into the next corner. Corners 4, 5, and 6, the eastern loop, if you will. He gets down to the inside of Helio Castro Neves, working on him. They straighten it out. Looks like Wardy's done it, and Claude Bourbonnais all over over Nevis for the next position. Third place right now is at issue back there off the turn and onto the straightaway.
But Nevis is starting to build his momentum back up again. He did lose some speed in the previous chicane, but I would have to say that Jeff Ward had a picture-perfect pass. That's how you do it. You have to set it up one corner before, and he did it nicely.
Indeed, he did, and he takes over the second position. But look at the space that Salas has already put between himself and those that were battling behind. There's Jeff Ward coming straight at you. He's had some podium finishes in his career, but has yet to win a race. Third place, Helio Castro-Neves, the number 39 machine, the Tasman Stable, is where he calls home. And then the fourth place car is Claude Bourbonnais out of the Players Stable. Of course, his teammate, David Empringham, is out of the event, caught up in that first turn incident. Perhaps a victim he was, but indeed the points leader is out, and he is with Gary Gerould.
Well, David, when you're leading a championship series and you've been struggling to protect that lead of late, this is obviously not what you or your team wants to have happen. How costly is this in your mind?
Well, it's definitely very costly. We struggled this weekend, but the goal here was to go out and get as many points as we could. Going into the start, I knew it was going to be crazy. There was like 6 cars wide, so I just felt I'd just protect the inside. But when I got close to the apex, a couple cars just came right across the front of me and nowhere to go.
Always wild and wacky at Cleveland. I guess nobody's really surprised. It's just so tough not to be in a position where you can become a victim.
That's exactly it. You know, I feel a bit like a victim. We struggled this weekend, and we're going to move on to Toronto. We've got a great team. The whole Players team works really, really hard, and we've got a good street course car, and I'm looking forward to Toronto.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris?
Well, we had a good look there of Jeff Ward working on Galter Salas in the first turn. It looked like he might get under him, Jan B, because it was close.
Well, Jeff Ward pretty much came from nowhere. Dave DeSilva has got a flat tire there, but what we saw in the first turn was, I think, possibly Galter Salas may have missed a gear because he had a huge lead, and the next thing we knew, Jeff Ward was all over him, and Jeff Ward has been able to maintain that close contest right here, and let's see where it is. Oh, Galter Salas has got some handling problems. The car got loose there on the exit turn number 7. Jeff Ward right now, he can smell it. He says, ha, I see his car has problems. I'm going after.
Yeah, you figure you noticed that, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So he comes up to the final 2 turns. This is kind of a technical piece of property right there, but he's through it cleanly. And coming back to that turn 1 where we thought we detected a missed gear last time around, on board we are, of course, with Jeff Ward. This is a hard right-hander, well over 90 degrees, and Salas to get a little tire smoke there as he takes it in hard. He's feeling the heat.
Salas is working very hard in turn number 1. A little bit of smoke from the front wheels is okay here. A lot of guys will do that as the car becomes unweighted. Claude Bourbonnais has been very patient. He's been biding his time. And I have to say that Neves doesn't look as though he's quite as comfortable with his car. So Bourbonnais may any time now try to make a move.
Well, Neves has had his moments in his rookie season, but this sort of position in a race is somewhat unfamiliar territory to him. And, of course, Claude Bourbonnais, he's been a wonderful campaigner in open-wheel racers for a long, long time. And a couple of years ago, he won 7 races in Atlantic in 1 season. He knows what to do, how to keep the pressure up, and he drives smart. There you see David DeSilva still trying to get back around to the pits, I believe, with that flat tire. Mark Hotchkiss, who was second in the points coming into this with 77, will gain no ground. He may lose second, and he's with Gary Gerould.
Here's another victim of the first turn melee. Mark, you started here on the pole position. You told us, you know, basically what your strategy was going to be. What happened from your seat?
Well, it all started very well. I was quite happy with the start to the race. Goulter lined up behind me, and he actually made a good move on me going into turn 1. And out from nowhere, here comes Alex Padilla, and he takes out, you know, 4 competitive cars. I was looking forward to my first road course win this year, and too bad it had to end this way, but we have some momentum going, and we'll carry that on into Toronto.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Gary.
And while we were listening to Mark Hotchkiss, we saw Claude Bourbonnais take the 3rd position away from Helio Castro-Neves and drive right away from him.
And he did. He took the long way around as well. He had to go around the outside of Neves down in turn number 1, but he's been pressuring him. I talked about the fact that he's been patient. That is a new Claude Claude Bourbonnais. He is really coming into each race weekend trying to be very conservative, whereas in the past he came so aggressively, and I think he's learning how great a dividend that's paying now.
Greg Ray's encountered some difficulty. There you see him going in the right direction, getting back up to speed, but he did have a spin a little bit earlier. But his team this weekend has been named the winner of the Chevron Problem Solver Award. They've had some difficulty. Keith Badger and friends have turned it around and at least given Greg Ray a manageable race car for the event. So well done by them, but right now he's got to get the positions back after looping it.
And an interesting thing to me is that he lost his engineer, David Effringham did, to that Greg Ray team.
There are the standings. Salas looking for 2 in a row. Is the leader at Cleveland. We'll be back in just a moment. A look at Galter Salas as he completes another lap at Burke Lakefront Airport. Look at the heat coming up off that pavement. It is very, very hot here on the shore of Lake Erie. The humidity is very high. You wonder, as we get another one turned around, that is the number 77 machine, Rodolfo Levine, who has looped it. But back to the heat issue, what does it do to brakes and tires with this much open space? Does everything get cooled off on the straightaway?
Yeah, pretty much does. These guys will have the opportunity to get it cooled down. Now, speaking of cool, as we're watching Chris Simmons there, their team, I was saying just as we went to break, they've had some big changes. Hideki Noda picking up a lot of grass there, doing some mowing there on the actual airport runway. But the engineer that was working with David Effringham, who of course is leading the points, has left players and gone here to Team Green. And he's working mostly with Greg Ray. That's Claude Bruel, very well known in Indy Lights competition. That's a big issue right now in pit lane because, as you know, engineers are so important to those results.
Well, as a result of that first turn incident, Chris Simmons really moved up through the pack, but he's backed off in the last couple of moments. But this team seems so much better on paper than they've shown this year. They've had some struggles coming to terms with the cars. There's no question about that. Here's the battle for third position. Neves trying to fight back against Claude Bourbonnais. It, I guess, remains unresolved from that position in that Neves will not give up. But Bourbonnais, who passed him and drove off to a fair distance, has backed up to him and reconstituted that fight. Look at the bumps there as they go onto a taxiway from the runway on that little crossover. Let's go on board with Jeff Ward, who is in second place. Take a look at how hard physically this place can be.
And this is one of the fastest corners on the racetrack as he comes through here, turn number 7. Now he's wide open, but then watch. The wall seems to come from nowhere at the exit, and that's where you have to be careful. Now he's on the fastest straightaway of the course. Of course, he'll get up to fifth gear, 155 miles an hour. And now look, there's a change in pavement. If it ever rains here, it gets ultra slick right through there. Now he's back on a runway, and you can see by his helmet how bumpy it is as they go from runway to taxiway. But I'll have to say, it is better now this year in 96 than it was last year. They've done a lot of work grinding down the pavement. And actually, Jeff Ward told me, he says, you know what? After you run a few laps, you get used to the bumps. It's not really a big deal.
And it is an airport. They are on the runway. 6 left if you want to be precise about it. There's the crossover. And now we're over to 6 right in the direction they're going, which is eastbound, as we watch Jeff Ward from high above. Now they're coming to an area where there's a crossover, and there's always a transition here. That's where the bumps are, right in that little chute you see in between the runway.
Now, one of the interesting things that I have raced here and driven here many times, but I only learned this weekend, by FAA regulations, they have to have the actual runways drain at the apex of the corners. So regardless of what they do, they are built to slope down to the apex, so there's no way they can get away from the fact they'll always see a big bump as they come to the inside of the turn.
Simply a measure to maximize braking performance for aircraft, get rid of the water. Those are grooved runways, by the way. The concrete actually has grooves sewn in it. David De Silva has gotten new tires on and rejoined the fight several laps down, as you see the top 4 runners dealing with him now as a back marker. And in this season, that's a strange position for David.
It definitely is a strange position for him. He just has had a hard time getting his confidence up here. The car really has been working the way that he wanted. He had a very, very similar setup to what Mark Hotchkiss, the pole sitter, had, but he just couldn't seem to get it going. Now he's out there effectively doing testing.
Everybody averaging a little over 90 miles an hour, even though we had a fairly long yellow at the beginning of the race. And first through fifth position, separated by about 9 seconds. First through fourth, only 5 seconds. So it really is a good serial, a reasonably tight serial up front. That's Claude Bourbonnais, who is yet to win in the series, and everybody says he's going to. And when he breaks through, he might just rip off 3 or 4. He's just too talented not to get something done.
And it is so good to see that this conservative strategy that he and the players' team are using is starting to pay those dividends with that third place finish that he had in Detroit. Third place at the moment, but of course it's early in the race. Anything can happen, and it is nice to see that he is starting to gain that rhythm. Now, he was not too happy about being held back initially, but I think he's learning that by them holding him back and telling him just to take his time and be conservative, he's learning that's what puts him on the podium.
Now he moves on to a long straightaway. It's kind of a right-hand bender for a while, then the runway. Will he try to get through David De Silva at the end of this? I don't know if he's close enough. He won't. He is not going to take any chances overtaking De Silva, and for that matter, he may not have a car that's faster than De Silva's now that the new tires are on David's car. I mean, it's a competitive car and has been all weekend. I don't think he hurt it by cutting down a tire.
That's possible, but Dave has been pretty good about letting the cars come through. He does give him room, and of course, it's so wide there. There's no real big problem. You can see the nice wide line of De Silva, and see what he's doing here. He's giving each of these guys about the same kind of trouble as far as getting by, so it hasn't affected their race.
So Neves on the straightaway works on De Silva. Salas continues to lead the race, and if he stays there, he'll be second in the points. Then Ward, Bourbonnais, Neves, and Noda. That is our top 5. We're in Cleveland. We'll be back. Back in Cleveland, there is Claude Bourbonnais, who is indeed running in third position, a podium position looming for him. You know, the players, people this year, as they have since they've joined the series, been pretty good in finding their way to the podium. There are the numbers, but Claude today is their remaining hope.
He is, and of course, as we've said, it looks like that's about all he can get out of the car at this point. But the players' team has learned how to make these cars work at the end of races. What's the difference? Well, the fuel in the car burns off, it gets lighter, and that changes the balance of the car. So as we get closer to the finish of the race, the actual competitiveness of these cars will change.
A little bit close there as he overtook a car coming off that corner, Claude Bourbonnais, and Davis jumps in right behind him, and they move down into the haze, real hot, real steamy around Cleveland, and onto the front straightaway. There's Bourbonnais. Neves comes back around, and they've successfully cleared them. And they are still in sight of the lead in this race. It's not that far away, about 3 or 4 seconds. 5 seconds now to Bourbonnais, and another 1.5 seconds back to Neves as they cross the timing lights. But they could get there in a hurry if somebody in front, Ward or Salas, makes even the slightest bobble.
Yes, and I'm not sure if it'll be a bobble as much as it will be tire and car management. These guys are going to try and drive consistent laps and try not to drop wheels, as you saw some dust there at the exit of the corner from a previous car who had gone off, because the more times you drop wheels off, the more dirt gets into your tires, and then you start to lose some grip.
Is this the sort of a place there that if you give up some of the momentum people talk so much about, that it takes a long time to regain it?
Yes, I think so. There were a lot of drivers that were complaining about their own driving, saying, I'm going into the corners too hot. The real trick here is to brake early, slow in, and then fast out.
Well, Bourbonnais doing a pretty good job of that. Ward trailing Salas by less than 2 seconds. There they move into turn number 1. In fact, he gained some. Coming back a little bit, the number 2 machine, Nick Firestone, a veteran of the series, currently running in the 6th position. There you see him darting to driver's right to get around some of that traffic. David De Silva involved there. Are they going to touch? Nearly touch, and it was a position pass there as Nick Firestone was working on Hideki Noda, and he got through. That was a nice move, and it looks like somebody might have touched something on the 2 car. The right side pod there is loose. What is that?
I think it's just some tape.
Yeah, it looks
I believe
like
that's just some tape that has probably come off another car. Sometimes they use tape to actually close down the radiators, and that may have come off another car or come off his, but I doubt that's slowing it.
Peeling off the intake on that side pod, the radiator intake over there. So